Hey, today we're going to talk about the anatomy of the traps and why we kind of choose the traps we do. So today, what I got here on the table, I'm going to bring it down here on my high-tech table here. And we're going to talk about the traps and the terminology behind the traps. So what we got here, right here, this is called a 110 conibear. And on this conibear, you have the chain on there with the loop. And this is to tie off the trap. Even though this is a kill trap, you still want to tie them off. This is called a 110. Well, I'll refer to them, you'll hear me say conibear, but it's technically called a body gripping trap. This is a 110, has a single spring. You'll see other ones with dual springs on. And so the parts of the trap is, here's the spring. This is the part you're going to collapse to set this trap. If you notice, there's not a safety on this trap. They put safeties on the bigger springs. This here is the trigger mechanism on this trap. You can see this little notch up here. That's part of the system. On the bottom, I'll give you a side view here, what we call the dog, and there's 3 different places for that to lay on the trap. But it's called the dog, the trigger, and the mainspring. And because this trap is the smallest one they make, it's called a 110. And why they specified the 110, it's not the size here, okay? Even though state laws will dictate on how big an opening you can have in Ohio on dry land. They call us a 155, or I'm sorry, excuse me, a 110. I'm so used to carrying 155s with me. A 110 is because this thing develops 110 pounds per square inch on this trap. So if you get your pinkies in there, your fingernails down in there, it'll bring a tear to your eye. So you gotta be still careful with these traps, guys. This thing will snap shut on you. You get your whole hand in there, it'll thump you, but you should be all right. We'll talk about safety later on. Right now it's about the terminology of traps. So you understand, so when I call it a 110 conibear, I'm not gonna confuse you. It's a 110 body gripping trap. And when I'm talking about how to adjust these and set them, this is the trigger, this is dog, and the mainspring. Second trap I want to talk about to you, pretty common trap. This is a Duke 1.5, which you notice this thing has 2 jaws, and they bring this, or I'm sorry, 2 springs. Here's the jaws. These are the jaws right here. These are the levers that pull these shut. And you're going to see different traps. Some of them will have a slot cut in here, right here. That's called an offset. It relieves a little bit of pressure more on the animal. Then you'll see them with rubber on there to even protect the animal more. So you come around the trap, and why they call this a 1.5 dual spring, coil spring, is because it's got 2 springs and they're coiled. A 4 coil spring will have 2 more springs located here. Okay, now this is what you buy off the shelf. There's nothing but it in this trap. You come around here, this here is where the animal's going to step on. That's called the pan, the trap pan. You'll have an adjustment screw down here. And then this lever here that goes down and hooks to there is called the dog. You'll see I pull this down. You can see if I pull up on this, well, it's hard to do it on film, but you'll see that's why it's called the dog. So there's another, so this is a coil spring trap. 1.5 is dedicated on the size of it, but this is called a coil spring, and then they'll have 4 coil springs. Third trap I want to introduce you to, this is a small one. This is my muskrat go-to trap, and this is a #1 Victor. That's name brand, dictates the size. But you see, this is a spring. It's a long spring, hence the name, long spring. You can tell the difference between that coil spring and this. So that's what we're looking at, and it's a #1.5. It's probably their smallest trap they make. I'm gonna set this for you guys. And what we talked about, now that you have the basics knowledge of this trap and terminology, see, we still have a trap pan, we still have a dog, we have 2 jaws. This is considered a loose jaw trap. See how this was only held by one side. Now they make modern traps that are held by 2. So you can see the springs compressed. Okay, so that's kind of your basic terminology. It's pretty simple, and the more you hear it, the more you'll get used to it. So why would I prefer this trap over any other traps for muskrat? There's several reasons. Some of it's personal preference. But people want to talk about the size, the opening of the trap. And on my last video, I give you a little clue what I was wanting to talk about. You need to know the size because a muskrat foot is a web foot in the back. It's a very large foot, but his front feet are very small. But if this trap, everybody talks about the size, and when the animal's foot is picked up, it's like my hand, it closes, and then when it comes down on the trap, it wants to hit it. So if a big beaver comes along and sits on this trap, nothing's going to happen to him. But if a small muskrat's going to hit this trap, that helps me select my target animal. That's why we have differences in traps. Traps is like a mechanic's toolbox. They're just tools for the trade, and they come in various sizes because not one wrench fits everything on your vehicle. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and you can see, and look, you're setting this trap. See how the jaw goes up? Look, I can touch this plane, set it off, no problem. Real simple, guys. And what you want to do is when you get your traps, we talked about the traps and purchasing the traps. Starting out, I'd like to see you get 6 of each traps, if you can afford it, guys, you know. But the other clue, what I was talking about, is this right here, is the height of the trap. Muskrats are short-legged. But there's a reason why we talk and we have different sizes of traps, and I don't see a lot of people talking about that. Now, I'm gonna open this trap up. I want to show you my finger. You see how it's tapered? It's bigger at the top, smaller at the bottom. If this trap is too short for me, or for my target animal, see how I got that? See how I pulled out? Okay? So, remember I told about in the first video about studying your animal? The size, the length, the weight of the animal? As soon as I put my knuckle down in there, see how I got the knuckle? I'm caught. You don't see any loss of blood flow. Remember, animals are stronger than my hand. It's a discomfort, it's not hurt. But you see I got the knuckle. And you don't see a lot of people talking about when you're going after a target animal is the height of the leg going after the first knuckle. That'll give you an idea of what animal you're targeting, of what size trap you want. The higher up the leg and the first good knuckle joint I got. Instead of catching a canine just by the toe, I want to get up by his ankle and hold him up there. So that's a good point. That's a good tip when you're deciding on what target animal you're going to, is this diameter, guys. Okay? So that'll give you an idea. Muskrat have short legs in the front feet, long web feet, so I need a spreader, but I need to jump up on its ankle to get a hold of it. And then that's why you'll see like a 1.5. Look at this height. This is getting in this is a good coon trap. You can get a little bit bigger for coon because they're a lot stronger animal, but you can see the height. It also has a bigger spread because it's a bigger animal. And what we want to talk about, the third thing, is I'm going to cock this trap real quick on this trap, is to give you an idea of what kind of traps you want. The average weight of a muskrat, guys, is probably 3 pounds. I've caught them in the 5.5 and 6 pounds. 6 pounds is pretty rare. But if you, and here's math, and I ain't no good at it. Here's what you gotta look at. This animal is sitting on 4 feet. So if he weighs, let's do some real easy math. He weighs 100 pounds. Each leg is gonna carry 25 pounds. So a muskrat, if he's 3 pounds, how many ounces does it take to set this off? That's the key, because I've got to break it down to his weight and which one leg will get in there. I've caught them with double legs. They jump up on there 2 feet, but you're going to actually catch 1 foot most of the time. See, I want you to see. So we got to just put ounces on it. See that, guys? Something to think about when you're starting to talk about this trap and target animals. Remember, it all goes back to the first video, guys. And that is what? Knowing your animal. Every aspect of the animal. Height, weight, length, habit, habitat. Everything's like that, guys. So, another short video for you guys. I'm under my 10 minutes. I did good. So guys, thank you very much. I've got a lot of comments to get to, guys. Really appreciate the support, and God bless everyone. Thank you.